Any regular viewer of this program knows that the gender ideology activism that we're seeing permeate throughout our society is a major topic of conversation for us. We care deeply about it. The organized left has already pushed their agenda to our schools, even affecting kindergartners in some cases. But conservative activists are finally pushing back, and they're getting organized. Just look at Austin, Texas, where they've got an event coming up in August. Here, take a look at it. It's called Let Women Speak. That seems like a reasonable idea. Let women actually step up and voice their opinions in opposition of things like gender ideology, the erasure of women, protecting women in sports, mutilation of healthy bodies, things like that. You know, all the hard-fought women's rights that have been earned over the last many decades by women in this country. Austin, known for their sensibilities, their liberal ideology, they should be open to the idea of letting women speak. Well, not so much. The organizers put together an Eventbrite invitation so that people could register and sign up for the event, and well, look what happened. Eventbrite sent an email saying that this is out of guidelines and their terms of services specifically regarding hateful, dangerous, or violent content at events. Violent content, Eventbrite. That doesn't sound so bright. Joining us now is the organizer of this event, who's now going toe-to-toe with Eventbrite over it. She's Michelle Evans, a chapter leader for Independent Women's Network. Michelle, I am stunned by this, that just allowing women to speak their mind can't happen. It's violence, it's offensive. That means there's only one idea and perspective that's allowed in this discussion?
That's correct. It's the male fetishists, the males who are pretending to be women in order to enter our spaces. They are the only ones that are allowed to have an opinion on this matter.
This is scheduled for when? This is August, right?
August 12th.
Now, so far it's just Eventbrite that's trying to cancel you. The city of Austin or wherever you're going to be doing that, are you getting any other pressure from any other affiliated organizations?
For security purposes, we have not released the location. The violence that has happened at these events in the past has been due to or at the hands of counter-protesters. So the reason we had an Eventbrite link was to bring attention to the event, but also to raise some money to pay for things like security.
Sure. Yeah, and I've been to these events before, and I've spoken at events where a lot of times you go out there, you put the Eventbrite out there, you let them know the general, it's going to be in the city, and then once people are signed up right beforehand, you say, okay, here are the details. That's pretty common, actually.
Yes.
Did you reach out to Eventbrite and ask them what is specifically hateful or violent about your event?
Through my network, Independent Women's Network, we did send Eventbrite a letter. We've tweeted them consistently since this happened on Thursday. It's gotten millions of views, retweeted by Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson. And as of yet, they have not responded. The only response they have given to me is that ticket holders were immediately refunded with no context or explanation. So the funds that we had raised as of that date were lost immediately.
I'm sorry, I just want to point, I know it's Austin, but it's Texas. We think a little higher of Texas and what might go on there. Have you heard from the governor's office or the attorney general's office about this?
We have heard from neither. I did get a call from Senator Marsha Blackburn's office, just wondering what the background was on the issue. Nothing from my senators or my governor. And one of the reasons we wanted to have this event, and we're continuing to have this event, is to call upon the governor to put a Women's Bill of Rights on a special session call. He's almost promised and guaranteed that there will be multiple special sessions upcoming. A Women's Bill of Rights was filed and killed in the Texas House during our regular session. And that's not sufficient for us.
Yeah. I think maybe part of the problem here is the name of the event is called Let Women Speak. And let's face it, I mean, the organized left on this issue, they can't even define what woman is. So they got very confused.
Right. And we're not being exclusive in that way. What we're doing is saying we're not asking for permission. We're not saying that only women can speak. This is a demand to allow us to have our opinion on this issue because disproportionately it affects women more than anyone.
So Eventbrite just deletes this, says it's, I love the euphemism, it's been unpublished. They've canceled you.
Yes.
And they won't participate in it. They say that you're involved in dangerous, hateful behavior by daring to allow women to speak their minds. What are the alternatives now? Because Eventbrite, they're pretty big. They're a huge organization, and they're very useful for things like this.
The great thing is we have this kind of underground community of women who feel the same way on this issue, and men as well. And so yesterday I was connected with an emerging anti-cancel culture ticketing platform called Groupie, G-O-R-U-P-I. I'm working with them to get a landing page back up and running and not be at risk of cancellation or losing any funds. So I'm hopeful about that.
It's such an important perspective. And by the way, I just don't understand any issue facing our country right now that doesn't deserve a full airing. This is what that tells you that you're on the right side of this issue, because the other side doesn't even want you to be able to speak. At any time their ideas and their arguments can't stand up to even hearing an alternative perspective, you know that it's the wrong side of the issue.
Right. And this is the side that thinks silence is violence, but also thinks words are violence. So it's a constant contradictory in terms.
All the things that I don't like are
women,
violence.
men.
All the things that disagree with me are violence. That makes it easier.
Right. Having this open forum allows us to have criticism. If you don't like that Eventbrite is platforming us, you're welcome to criticize that. But to say that we shouldn't have that platform is completely antithetical to our fundamental values here in this country. This is such a simple thing. It's just women gathering in the public square with a mic and a PA to air their dissent to particular ideologies or ideas.
Yeah, and these are critically important ideas. In our final minute here, I want you to expand on one part of this, because it speaks to me, because I think it's so undebatable, where you say you're speaking about the erasure of women. Flesh that out for me, because people say, oh, redefining women. No, it's actually eliminating women, what we've known to be women.
You're erasing the concept of womanhood or the biological truth of womanhood in language and in law by allowing men to be mothers and women are birthing persons with bonus holes. Oh. Men can breastfeed while women only chest feed. So you're taking away the unique power that women have naturally, biologically, physiologically, and turning it into a costume that a man can put on. Yeah. This, our group of women, we are equal to men, but we are not the same. And so you can't just put on a wig and some makeup and say that I am now a woman. You can't take hormones and say I'm not a woman, because we're not a hormone level either. There is so much to us that begins with biology and extends from there.
Well said. And by the way, I'll add to that so much of what you're describing here has to do with post-adolescent adult males who, for whatever reason, decide to put on this. But the actual effects of this ideology are devastating to prepubescent young girls who are being told that their blossoming womanhood is not good enough. It's not. Right. It's devastating. We got to leave it there. There's so much more to discuss. Yeah. I want to have you back before your event. We want to make sure that once we know where it is, that it is jam-packed, and we'll ensure that. Michelle Evans out of Austin, Independent Women's Network. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.